Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast, which before we get going, I wanted to let you guys know that in the coming days, tickets will go on sale for our second annual Nightmare Before Christmas Paranormal Weekend Retreat, which once again will be held at the incredibly haunted Malvern Manor, which not only will we have the manor for 2 nights, 2 complete around-the-clock nights from sundown to sunup, but this event is very special because those in attendance will be the first to see a special extended preview of my forthcoming documentary, House of the Harbinger Kingdom, which I am incredibly excited about. Now, what you should also know is that there's only 20 tickets available to this event in order to keep the ghost hunting incredibly intimate. And with 3 stories, this is the best way to go about doing it. And the last time I was there, it was completely off the charts. I'm telling you about this now because as a member of Patreon, for a 48-hour window, you will have first access to those tickets, and those tickets will be discounted. So if you need more incentive to check out our Patreon page, please do. The Patreon link is in the description box below, where once you are signed up, you will find unreleased music, exclusive videos, exclusive photos, tons of videos and photos from the vault back in the day, stuff that I've never released. Also unreleased graphics to forthcoming features such as A House in the Harbinger Kingdom. Plus you'll also get a first look and exclusive access to pictures and videos that are related to the In a Crowded Room podcast episodes. And as I also mentioned, you will consistently receive special discounted offers for merchandise, weekend-long retreats, touring events, online screenings, and much more. And one of the best things about becoming a member of Patreon is that you choose your support level. It just takes a few seconds to sign up, choose your level of support, and you'll have full access to everything that we offer. As many of you know, our initial goal is to reach 200 patrons, which we're already at 70. In just 2 weeks, we're already at 70, which blows my mind. Thank you guys so much. Once we reach 200, I'm going to bring on an editor to handle all of the editing duties so you can have 6 brand new episodes of the In a Crowded Room podcast per week, released nightly at 6 p.m. That's the goal, and you guys are doing an amazing job of helping me get there. If you're not able to support on Patreon, please just keep listening, spread the word, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. You guys are doing an amazing job of building this podcast, and I can't thank all of you enough. And last but not least, if you're not a member of Patreon, but you're still interested in attending our Nightmare Before Christmas weekend-long paranormal retreat, and you want to be notified the second tickets go on sale to the general public, simply email us at aghsoldiers@me.com. Again, that's AGH, like American Ghost Hunter, aghsoldiers@me.com. And from there, just let us know that you would like the ticket link to be sent to you. The second tickets go on sale to the general public. Having said that, let's get right into episode number 149. Which for this episode, we're going to switch gears a bit. I know we've been down the ghost hunting rabbit hole for the last few episodes, and there'll be more of that in the future for sure. But I want to talk about the UFO world and what's been going on. You know, when I was interviewing Craig, he said something to me that, really struck a chord. And he actually said it to all of you too. He said, as all the stuff is going on in the world right now in Australia, and Gabby Potito is just filling our TV screens, and there seems to be all this distractive stuff, the UFO narrative has kind of disappeared. And I want to talk about that a little more later too. But Craig said, look up. He said, right now, look up at what's going on in the sky. And I've been receiving tons of videos from people that are filming things around the world. And some of them are clearly hoaxes, but there's been some pretty amazing stuff that's been filmed recently that's blown my mind. So you guys know I have not heard back yet, but I did email Skyfall to say what is going on. Things have been quiet, but I am still receiving all kinds of footage from people. I have not heard back yet, but basically I asked him what is going on. Is this, he's the one who, claims this fake alien invasion is coming, so I just want to hear where he thinks we're at with it all right now. When I hear back, the second I do, I promise you, as always, I will tell you what he has to say. That's if I hear back. I have not heard from him since the last time. So it's been months, but I haven't really emailed him either in the last couple months. With that being said, there is some footage that I do want to share with you, and you may have seen this on the news. Probably 50 people have sent this to me, and it was some pretty stunning footage. But I'll get into why I think in a second. But for right now, I want you guys to check this out. Take a look at this footage. This was recorded in a suburb of Chicago. Check this out.
More stress watching someone else videotape something. We've already gotten out of view range, but it's like, okay.
What is that?
Wait, no, let's think logically about this.
What is that?
Yeah, that doesn't look normal.
It's not normal at all. What is that?
I don't know if I should be concerned or not. Okay, wait, let's think logically about this. I swear to God, it's changing shape.
Now, whenever I watch footage like this, I always, like I said, I always look for context. And I mean, what is the person saying who's filming it? Does it feel real? In this case, this person that filmed this actually came forward and identified themselves and said, yeah, I filmed it. This is what, was going on. They actually went on the roof. They filmed this from the roof. I can tell you from a visual standpoint, could it have been faked if you had a really, really super talented animator? As you guys know, just about anything could be faked from a digital standpoint. But there are usually some dead giveaway signs when things are faked. If you guys remember, there was that footage that was filmed of that supposed TR-3B, which I walked you guys through frame by frame of how that was painted in there. This footage does not have any of those like tell signs. This seems to be fairly authentic. And if I was a betting man, I would say, yeah, I'm leaning towards real on this. This is stunning. I mean, what is this, guys? What in the fuck is this? I mean, it's just hanging there in the sky. The movement is incredible as far as like with the camera and everything that's going on. Like you would have to do some serious tracking if you were going to fake this. Very odd looking. It's not your typical like, garden variety disc. A lot of times when I see fake videos, that's one of the first things I look for. Does the UFO look like something straight out of a Hollywood movie, right? And a lot of times when they do, they have a tendency to be fake. This is completely unique. Like there's nothing like this that I've ever seen. Some people in the comments in this video were like, "Oh, it could be a balloon." If it was a balloon, I mean, it would be moving. There's breezes, there's airflow. I've never seen a balloon in my life just stay up there. It seems to be too high for a kite. Plus, again, kites move all over the place. I mean, this thing is absolute just static still, just right there. And it looks like some kind of, again, some kind of drone or, could it be monitoring something? I don't know. What's really interesting is Chicago has had obviously a lot of historical UFO events. The biggest one being, the one over the O'Hare Airport, which I shot or released and made a short documentary called "The Air Above O'Hare," in which Dan Aykroyd actually has that footage and has not released it yet. But Chicago has been somewhat of a hotspot, for UFOs. Now, again, I'm getting footage like this, not exactly like this, but UFO footage sent to me from tons of people. And thank you all for sending me your UFO footage. I love reviewing it. I love looking for stuff that I think is great. And there's stuff coming from all over the world right now. And it was good to see that this was on the news too. Because, as we know, it seems like everything kind of disappeared when it comes to the UFO narrative. Now, what I find so interesting about that, guys, is if you remember, a while ago I did a podcast and I said, can we trust Lou Elizondo, Jeremy Corbell, and George Knapp? And out of all three of them, I have more of a tendency to kind of lean towards George Knapp being legit. But look, you're either in bed with people or you're not. And isn't it interesting that the second that the government and the media got quiet about UFOs, so did George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and Elizondo, and Mellon and the entire crew. Why would they all get silent at the same time? What would be a good reason that they're all in unison doing the same thing? Well, I mean, the obvious answer is, I think, or I shouldn't say the obvious answer because I don't know this for a fact, but one would think they're all working together, which is what I do believe. And now, for some reason, they're all quiet. What's really bizarre in the case of Corbell and Knapp, if they really were these independent gumshoes that just, so happen to have all this footage and all these documents, and these guys were able to just snuff all this out of the government, nothing should stop them. They should be going full speed, right? They just had the biggest UFO event in history. The government came out with a report and said 130 or 40 some sightings were, they were unable to prove what they were, that UFOs, are real. Like, shouldn't this be the time that those guys are exploding, like with all kinds of, legitimate, like, I mean, look, I'm nobody in the UFO world, and I'm getting sent videos like crazy from everybody. So why is it that Corbell and Knapp have gone dead silent the same time that Luis Elizondo has, Mellon has, all those dudes, Hal Puthoff, like all those guys, the government, the media, which the government and the media obviously work together. If there was ever, and this is just my opinion, you guys tell me what you think, but I think if there was ever a telltale giveaway, situation to prove that these guys are all working together, to me it would be right now, because for some reason they've all gone silent. So why could that be? Why could that be? Well, at the same time that the UFO narrative has gone pretty much silent, we hear from Craig about all this stuff in Australia, all this just insane stuff, related, to, the vaccine. And if you haven't listened to his interview, please go back and listen to it. It is truly something fascinating, and you can hear the sincerity in his voice. And that's what I loved working with, Craig so much on Sir No Face, is his sincerity. And those that he keeps as, friends around him and his family. But I urge you to listen to what is going on in Australia. And the reason, I asked a while ago, I asked everybody, why do you think this Gabby Potito case has taken over the media? Like it has. Like, why is it everywhere? And I saw a lot of different answers. But I didn't see one that coincided with my thoughts at the time. And I saw people say, well, it's just a great mystery. I saw some people saying, it's unfortunate because there's all kinds of, Aboriginals and African Americans that get killed every day, and the media doesn't, cover that, which is true, absolutely true. You can't argue that. Some people were saying that it's just, it's a sign of the time story. She was a budding social media star, so that's why, it's on the news everywhere. My biggest thought was, it's a total distraction. It's a total distraction. Why in the hell would every news station simultaneously suddenly decide to just cover this story and then, sprinkle a little Dog the Bounty Hunter on top? And you literally have this, daily reality story that's playing out for everybody, that's dominating the news. And, suddenly, life on other planets and aliens and all that stuff, isn't important anymore because of Gabby Potito. I mean, it doesn't make sense from a newsworthy standpoint. And at the same time, all the stuff that's going on in Australia, to me, clearly feels like the next level of testing. Like, what can you do to a society, and how much will they accept? You know, if you tell everybody to stay inside their house and they can't go more than, 52 feet, if you tell them they have to do this, they have to do that, if you don't let them, move about where they want, like Craig said, look up. If someone's telling you to stay in your house, that means they don't want you to see what's going on outside your house, right? And Craig also said, what's shocking to me is how compliant so many people are. And that is what shocks the living hell out of me. Because in America, like I said, regardless of which side of the fence you are with vaccinations, what you're seeing is that Americans don't like being told what to do. At the end of the day, regardless of what you think about should you or shouldn't you get the vaccination, what's very clear in America is we don't like our rights to be fucked with. We don't like it. And yeah, I think Craig has a point when he says, how is all of this going on? I've told you guys before, my partner Thomas is just such an intelligent guy. He's traveled the world unlike anybody I know. And one time we were talking about different governments, and he said, the line just always stays in my head. He says, I've been all around the world, and it's true that the people choose their government. And what do you mean by that? Well, it means by like whatever you're willing to accept is what you're going to get. And it is shocking to me what Craig said, that Australians would be so willing to comply with all of these insane demands when Americans clearly aren't. But at some point, you have to have a testing ground. And everything keeps going back to Australia. I mean, everything goes back to Australia, which is so weird. Like, if in fact Craig did, if he was hand selected by the Australian government to basically interact with this entity, as they, meaning the government, were actually documenting him and how he did interact with Sir No Face, which is a theory, a possibility. And if Stephen Greer is correct, and there are these, little alien grays that are coming off a conveyor belt, like he said, you would need a lot of them. You would need a lot of them to pull off a fake alien invasion. Because things in the sky is one thing. I don't think people trust just footage enough to say, oh yeah, this is happening. But I think if you looked outside your window and you saw little gray things moving, like if I looked outside my door and I saw these little gray beings moving through my courtyard, and then I turned on the news and I saw this thing here hanging over Chicago and big things like it coming in through the sky. At the same time, the space race is really heating up. Elon just like reset the bar and was like, oh, I'm glad that, just really quickly sidebar, wasn't that incredible that, Branson and Bezos basically go up to the edge of space for a few seconds and bring people back down, and Elon just totally sets the bar in a ridiculous place. They go above where the ISS is and send a civilian crew, for 3 days. I mean, I just thought that was incredible. But that race is heating up. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but there's also been a lot of secret, what do you call them? Satellites that have been launched, deep space secret satellites that have been launched recently. And I don't know how much you guys have gotten into the release of the Russian files on UFOs. But God, what was I watching the other day? It might have been even Secure Team or something. And they talked about how this one Russian memo, which I tracked it down, essentially said, like, I think it was 75% of their UFO encounters, and there were, countless, occurred over bodies of water or came from or went into bodies of water. Which to me, again, I really believe exactly what Knapp said to Harvey Levin. They've always been here and they come from the water. That makes absolute sense to me. But I would like to also say that it's not been completely quiet. It's starting to ramp back up a little bit with the media. And this footage here in Chicago, like I said, I was glad to see that it got the coverage it did because, guys, this is truly fascinating footage. I mean, what is that? Has anybody seen that in their lifetime? That is wild. But in addition, I don't know if you guys saw this, but George Knapp, I think it was older. It was an interview he did a long time ago. But there was a guy that he knew that basically looked at the Agua Dia footage. And that's the footage which I think is just absolutely stunning footage as well, where the UFO flies into the ocean and then it comes out and it splits in two. The full story of that was actually released, which is pretty incredible. Basically, Agua Dia, that airport that sits right next to the ocean, what went down is all of a sudden there were a bunch of, over the water, there were a bunch of hits like an object is there, but they would hit and then they would disappear. And this went on for like 15, 20 minutes. And they couldn't figure out what this was, and these things were sitting right in the line of where planes would take off. So they actually had a plane take off on the other direction, and they flew around to try to get an idea as to what it was. And when they got over there, they couldn't see anything. And they said, well, it's still popping up on the radar. Let's change your flight course and, go out the other way. And because they couldn't see anything visually, like just looking. So they changed their flight path, and as they were leaving, the pilot said, hey, they had a camera with infrared. They said, hey, just turn on the infrared and see if we can see anything. And when they turned on the infrared, they captured this object, which is incredible, and filmed it all the way out into the water, whereas you could see it hits the water and it has absolutely no resistance to the water, and then it comes out and splits into two. Which, did it split into two, or was there just another one out there in the water that came up with it? I don't know. But what I do think is going on, and what I really want your guys' opinion on, is there staging going on right now? Meaning, look, at each level of any operation that you set up, things have to be in play for those things to happen. And as we've seen with the, rollout of this whole UFO thing, if there is a fake alien invasion, it's not going to be like, some saucer just comes ripping out of the sky and lands in the front lawn of the White House and says, hey, we're here. Like, it's going to be something, my guess would be a combination of things. Suddenly, the government's going to release some more footage, which Skyfall said is coming out. That's going to be far more detailed, far more shocking to look at. I think that because of the space race and the fact that Elon is going up so much, and Bezos is trying to get up there, and NASA now is working with Elon. Plus, they're also launching a lot of their own satellites right now. They're back in the exploration game. I think that we're probably going to get more, weird things that are captured, either photographed or show up on radar. And look, I do think we're going to have something from Australia that comes. There would have to be staging. Different events would happen at different times. They're not just going to come on the news and go, hey, world, we're under an attack, we're under invasion, I don't think anything would happen like that. I think it's going to be a slow thing with a campaign to basically convince people of what is going on. If that's the case, if this fake alien invasion were to happen, if this is real, I think that it would be a slow campaign with many different levels to convince people. Because once you pull that trigger, man, I mean, you got to get it right. And God, the reason I've always paused in fully wrapping my mind around that possibility is just how many things would have to be right to get people to totally buy into it. Not to say that it's not impossible. There are crazy things going on in the world right now. Back to Elon Musk. I'm a little scatterbrained tonight, guys, just because all this stuff is fascinating to me. But back to Elon Musk. What's really interesting is he's been tweeting more lately about UFOs and taking them seriously and freaking everybody out. But if you go back just a short time ago, I did a whole podcast on it. He was basically on Rogan poo-pooing the whole idea and basically making fun of, the Fermi paradox. Where are the aliens? And going, if they're here, they're pretty subtle. Pretty subtle, I would say, because no one can see them. And he was claiming there was no proof, but at the same time saying he hadn't even heard the stories of Commander Fravor. But then recently, he's been talking in interviews about how, there is a very good possibility that we're already being watched or they're already here. And he recently tweeted about taking them seriously. It seems as though he's had like a 180 on the whole thing, which I find very interesting at this timeline in the entire UFO narrative. And then out of the blue, like I said, we're starting to see better footage. And what I love about this Chicago footage here, thank God there's something actually interesting to look at that you can argue could be authentic and real. Because, God, like I said, those 3 pieces of footage, that the government released were just fucking horrible. Like, they just didn't convince me of anything. And to me, it almost felt like it was a CIA, like, psyop or something. Like, it's just always bizarre because now a bunch of people who always swore that there's no such thing as UFO or aliens, suddenly they believed in it. And, even the news stations were like, yes, we now believe UFOs are real because the government says so. And I'm kind of scratching my head going, so the biggest lying entity that we know, the government, releases 3 horrible pieces of evidence, say it's real, and now the media's in, and just everybody says yes. It's always been bizarre to me. So that's what I love about this footage, is this is something to look at. This is really unique, guys. This is really unique. To fake this, I mean, like I said, anything can be faked, but a lot of the basic telltale animation signs are not there in this. This looks pretty authentic. The only thing that I would hope is that there would be more footage of this. And after I looked, I didn't spend a lot of time looking. It was fairly brief because I'm recording this right now, and I just looked before I started recording this. I would love to see if there's any other footage of this. So if you guys out there, listening right now, if you got some free time and you want to dig around and see if there's any other angles of this from anybody else, that would be cool. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not real if there's not. I mean, people always say that. They say, well, if they filmed it, everybody else would film it too. Here's my only argument against that is, how often do you look up in a day? I rarely look up at the sky in a day. Most people I know rarely look up at the sky in a day. And I certainly don't look up and survey it. Now, maybe I'm weird and maybe I'm different. And if that's the case, let me know in the comments. If you guys look at the sky all the time or look up a lot in any given day, let me know. But I don't think most people do. And I certainly don't. So if I was if it was midday, 3 p.m. in some suburb of Chicago or something, and this thing hovered around for 3 or 4 minutes, again, unless you're looking up or on your rooftop looking up or something, you're not going to see it. And, I know word travels fast, but you'd have to look up right when it went up, conclude that it's bizarre, and then contact someone and tell them to do it. I don't know. It's just, it's not a solid argument to me that there has to be more angles. But with there being so many cameras, everybody's phone is a 4K camera practically anymore. I mean, for fuck's sake, have you guys seen the camera to the new iPhone 13? It's mind-bending. It's like the quality of like a 5D. It's incredible. So I wish there was more footage, and maybe there is. So check it out for me. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think about all this. Did we go into a moment of silence and distraction as other things are being set in motion, as things are being tested? As far as population control and things like that in Australia. Do we think there's going to be more stuff coming from space, the Space Force, from Elon? To me, it feels like there's going to be more stuff coming really soon. And do you guys think that the unified silence of Knapp, Corbell, Elizondo, Mellon, Puthoff, everybody from Tom DeLonge's old team, the media, the government, all of a sudden, like everybody simultaneously hit the brakes? Do you think that that's kind of a giveaway that they're all working together? As you guys know, I do think it is a giveaway. I think it's a big time giveaway. But I would love to know what you guys think. Having said that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the In a Crowded Room podcast. Please consider becoming a member of Patreon if you are able. The link is in the description box below. Much love, everybody. I will be back tomorrow with more. All the best.